Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I've got Tony with me today. And we are going to be talking about the balance of finding the right mix of insurance versus technical talent for InsurTechs. But before I get to all the questions that I've got for you, can you do a very quick introduction?
Tony Cañas, Chief Motivational Officer at Insurance Nerds and a senior recruiting partner at Goodwin Recruiting. I'm basically a giant insurance nerd that bleeds insurance, and my entire life is set up around insurance talent, whether that's helping people find jobs or helping companies find people, all of it within insurance and InsurTech. Also run largest podcast in the InsurTech space, wrote the book on how to engage millennials in insurance. And I'm a general nerd, basically, about insurance.
Well, great. Thank you for joining me. And how I want to get started is kind of going back to that teaser that I gave at the beginning about this idea of like kind of finding the right balance. So typically when you're working with InsurTechs, are you helping them find and like recruit and hopefully retain talent more on the tech side, or are they looking more in the insurance realm?
So we can help with anything. Goodwin is based in such a way that it attracts a bunch of recruiters who used to do the job before, who come from industry, and who have connections in a bunch of different industries. But really, myself and my partners focus, as we run the insurance and InsurTech vertical at Goodwin, is business side. So anything that requires insurance experience. We can help with tech roles, but anything that requires insurance experience is really where we shine. And ultimately, what we've learned is that most insurance people, most people with insurance experience that would be useful for an InsurTech are not a good culture fit for a startup. So one of the big things we're getting really good at is assessing who will actually do well in a startup environment when they come from a traditional insurance space.
So when you start to like develop a little bit further along as an InsurTech, and maybe you've moved beyond just the point of having like kind of like those technical resources that are helping you build out your platform, you and I were talking about how important it is to make sure that you've got the right insurance talent in, but like there might be some like sneaky spots that people don't necessarily think, yes, I absolutely need somebody with insurance background in this role. And one of those was talking about something like customer support. Can you talk a little bit more about like why it's key to have insurance background in some of those roles, maybe what some of those sneaky spots are?
Absolutely. So early InsurTechs tend to have mostly tech needs. And I get it. You're building the product, right? But at some point, you've got an MVP or better ready, and that product needs to be, number one, sold. Usually a SaaS platform, a lot of times SaaS platform, needs to be sold either into a carrier or broker space. That's an incredibly hard sale. It's a 2-year sell cycle in the best case scenario. So the people who are successful doing that likely have the network and understanding of how insurance works. So that's one piece where it's important. And then as after it's been sold, the implementation piece and the customer success piece requires somebody that can speak the language of the customer. And the customer is not the executive that signed the contract. The customer is the underwriter or the claims adjuster or whatever insurance professional at a carrier or a broker is actually using your system. In order to service them, you need people who speak their language, preferably people who have sat in their seat, who are maybe a little more tech savvy, but who have sat in their seat before and understand the challenges that they face. That is something where we absolutely shine. And most of the time, when companies are coming to us, they're coming to us for roles that require some level of specialization, and they just don't have the networks within insurance to find them. And insurance is kind of simple in theory, but it's incredibly complex in execution, right? There's so many moving pieces and so many things, and we're heavily regulated, right? So you need to understand what your customer is dealing with, what the carrier that you're supporting, or the MGA, or the broker that you're supporting is dealing with, and help them not only be successful but also be compliant. And for that, understanding insurance is absolutely crucial.
So then, Tony, we've got the right people in place. And you mentioned in your introduction that you do a lot around retention. And I kind of like said, hopefully we're recruiting and retaining these employees. What do InsurTechs need to do to make sure that they're able, especially when we're looking at insurance talent coming over, to keep that? Because I mean, truthfully, if you've worked for a larger carrier, there tends to be a lot of perks. Like in Wisconsin, most of the carriers have like summer hours where you just get to leave early on Fridays, or there's the rock wall and the Ferris wheel and all the things. So what do InsurTechs need to keep in mind in terms of helping to retain this talent that might be going through quite a cultural shift?
It's not the ping pong tables. I can tell you that. It's not the Silicon Valley ping pong tables. Number one, chances are they're coming from an organization that gave them a lot of structure. And if you're fairly early in your journey as an InsurTech, you probably don't have a lot of structure. So helping them understand that, helping them understand that you really, that they don't have to play the corporate game the way they used to, right? That they can be more free with their ideas. Helping them understand that pivoting is normal, right? Most InsurTechs are okay with failure, as long as you learn and innovate quickly and iterate quickly. That's not the case in a carrier. In a carrier, you generally try to avoid failure at all costs. So help them understand what you value, and the kind of thing that helps in your space. Also, we're big believers that it's time to put the human back in human resources. Get to know your people, learn what makes them tick. A couple of years ago, it used to be that insurance professionals were so excited to go into InsurTech that they would take a lateral or sometimes take a pay cut and then get a bunch of equity. Well, with the layoffs of the last couple of years, now insurance professionals are much more careful. It's a lot harder to recruit a traditional insurance professional, get them to go to InsurTech. So pay them fairly, not only with equity potential, but you got to match what they're making right now, or they're likely just not to make the move. Benefit, you have to get benefits right. One of the things that insurance has is we have good benefits because we work for insurance companies, right? So making sure your health insurance, your retirement savings, your PTO matches what they used to make before, or is better. And also, there's no one size fits all approach. Take the time to get to know the team and to get to know what each of them need to be successful and to stay. Check in often, and believe me, while I would be more than happy to charge you another fee to replace the person, it becomes hard to sell you the company to candidates if it's a revolving door. So we're more than happy to help you figure out how to retain the people that we place. Because that makes the work better for all of us going forward. It's a lot easier to recruit for a company where the people that I've placed there love working there than for a company that has a revolving door.
Avoid the revolving door. Don't feel like you need a ping pong table, and match the benefits and the income.
Lean into your advantage, the advantages you have versus a traditional carrier, the exchange that people are making by going to an InsurTech from a traditional carrier or broker. You're giving up stability in exchange for excitement, in exchange for making a real difference, right? For being more than just a cog, and in exchange for getting much broader experience. In a large carrier, it's so easy to get stuck into, you're a small commercial underwriter. Why are you spending time? This is my own history, right? You're a middle market underwriter. Why are you spending time messing with how to engage and retain millennials within insurance, right? At an InsurTech, everybody wears multiple hats. So find out, okay, so we hired you because you're a good project manager. What else are you interested in that you might be able to help with, right? Or do you want to help us with recruiting? Do you want to help us with training? Do you want to help with social media, right? That ability to customize the job a little bit, to the person and their skill sets and interests, it's a huge advantage.
Mhm.
And it creates a work environment that most people love.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for the conversation, Tony. And if you're not already, which I would find hard to believe, make sure you make your way over to connect with Tony. Oh, he brought out the fire just for
Always.
the end. Make sure you make your way over to connect with Tony on LinkedIn. And as always, reach out to either one of us if you've got any questions. But thank you
Thanks,
again,
Ema.
Tony. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a wonderful day.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. If you like what you saw, be sure to come back on a weekly basis and subscribe for more expert interviews focused on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.